Hello and welcome to this relatively short and relatively straightforward lesson on aggression and ethological explanations of aggression. You might be able to guess from the little picture on the slide, ethology refers to the study of animals in their natural environment. A little bit more on that in a second. Look at those cute little kittens waiting to kill each other. In terms of the ethological explanation of aggression, there are two key points that you need to know, and that's what I'm going to ask you to make notes on from this video. Feel free to pause the video at any point, give you time to write stuff down. The two things that you need to know are the role of innate releasing mechanisms, or IRMs, and the role of fixed action patterns, or FAPs. So what do we mean by ethology? Well, ethology is the study of animals in their natural settings, unlike this crazy chimp trying to kick a baby in the face who's clearly in a zoo. The ethological explanation suggests that most animals have a repertoire, a set of stereotype behaviors that always occur in specific conditions. Crucially, none of these things require any learning. They are all innate. The animal doesn't think about them. They just happen when they are triggered, and therefore the whole ethological explanation suggests that aggression is innate, not just in animals but in humans as well, although all the research here is about animals. Look at that chimp kick that baby in the face. Baby doesn't seem concerned. So when we're using ethological explanations, effectively what we're doing is we're looking at animals but trying to understand how this affects humans. What we're trying also to do is to account for behavior in terms of its adaptive value, which means evolution. Why would any of these aggressive behaviors help us? And this is sometimes confusing because obviously aggression as a behavior, you would think, has not got much in the way of adaptive value. In fact, it can put us in harm's way. But they're trying to explain how aggression might actually help us, and therefore not just animals, but humans as well. So aggression is seen in all animal species, and particularly in males, and psychologists believe that effectively this must be beneficial to the survival of the species in some way. So aggression, the argument is, can help us protect food and resources such as land, where animals mostly get their food. The picture here is of two stags rutting, which is quite common in the stag world and is used to secure dominance. To decide which stag within the herd is the alpha male, and that gives him the pick of the females. And periodically other male stags will challenge him to a rut, and they will sit and wrestle with their horns until one of them yields and says, okay, fair enough, pal, you're the strongest. Now crucially, the thing here is, if a stag ran at the other stag side on and buried those huge antlers, which are made of bone, into the side of the stag, it could kill him, but they never do. Instead, they wrestle head to head, looking to try and establish dominance. And this is a very important point. And the point here is that the aggression is ritualistic. It is not designed to cause harm. Lorenz, who you might remember, the goose guy from Attachment, suggests that actually most animal aggression is ritualistic. Animals are naturally fierce and they can kill each other. Look at that wolf baring his teeth. But the point is, the wolf is baring his teeth so he doesn't have to kill someone. It would be bad for the species if animals just went around killing each other all the time. It would affect the survival of the species. So instead, what they're doing is they're using aggression to establish dominance of one over the other, not to cause death, but just to tell the other, listen, pal, I'm stronger than you. If it comes down to it, I would kill you. That's what the baring of the teeth is to suggest. And therefore, there's no need to engage in an aggressive act which would result in death. So we call this ritualistic aggression. It's a ritual. The wolf bares his teeth, the stags lock horns, so on and so forth. And this creates an animal society where every individual knows their place within the hierarchy. And you can see it in most animals, the way dogs bark and snarl or bare their teeth like the wolf does there, the way that cats hiss and arch their backs, the way apes beat their chest. Most of this is ritualistic. It is not designed to harm the other animals. It is there to tell them, I'm dominant. There may then be some ritualistic play, like the stags rutting, until one of them agrees to back down. Dogs are very keen on this, sort of wrestling around with each other until one of them has been established as the stronger of the two, often biting each other in non-fatal places. They rarely go for the neck, which would cause death. Instead, they bite each other on the back just to show, hey, I'm strong. Now, we call all of these things fixed action patterns. Here's a cat displaying one of his fixed action patterns. Don't mess with me, I'll have you. And these are automatic biological responses that have been built in to our neural structures. And when we are faced with something that triggers them, now it could be a facial expression or something like that, one cat hisses at the other one, then that triggers the response in them. That's what we call the innate releasing mechanism. So if one dog barks, the other dog barks back. If one cat arches its back and hisses, the other one does the same. That stimulus is the releaser for the mechanism in the brain to say, right, this is going off. We're going to need to do something. And then that will then trigger the response in the other animals. So, you know, in a nutshell, if something in the environment, for example, a competing male appears, that will trigger the innate releasing mechanism in the male that stood there. And then that IRM will release the fixed action pattern. And that fixed action pattern will be whatever that animal has developed as a ritualistic aggression. It could be rutting like the stags, or it could be growling or barking or arching or beating your chest or whatever. The fixed action pattern is the behavior, and it is being triggered by the innate releasing mechanism. Now, this has been shown in plenty of research, and obviously pause this at any point so you can make some decent notes. But fixed action patterns are considered, these bullet points on the left, to be stereotyped in the sense that they always occur in the same way, universal in the sense that they're found throughout the species. They can't be unlearned, so they are innate. They're in no way created by learning, and therefore they can't be affected by learning. They're ballistic, which means that once they're launched, there's no backing out. They have a single purpose, which is, you know, to get somebody to back down. And each one has a specific trigger. So, for example, the appearance of a male might cause stags to start rutting. The appearance of someone threatening physical violence in the humans might cause them to puff their chests out and say, all right, pal, what are you looking at? A lot of this has been shown in animal research. Tim Bergen's research, which is on the right, involved male sticklebacks, which are a kind of fish, and that's what the picture's of. Sticklebacks, although they look tiny little fish and fairly harmless, they're actually madly aggressive towards each other during mating season. So they go out looking for female sticklebacks, and they're all like, yeah, come on. And they attract the females by turning the bottom half of them a slightly orangey red colour, which you can see in that picture. Yes, that is a picture of an on-heat male stickleback looking for love. Now, if another male enters his territory with a red spot on his undercarriage, that is the innate releasing mechanism for fight. And Tinbergen showed this by presenting sticklebacks with a load of wooden models, all different shapes, obviously dunking them in their fish tank. And regardless of whatever shape the model was in the fish tank, if the bottom part of it was covered in a red spot, had been coloured in, the crazy male stickleback would start attacking it. If it had no red spot, the male stickleback was like, why are you chucking bits of wood in my fish tank? Leave me alone. I'm just swimming about looking for love. Now what this shows is that the red spot triggered the innate releasing mechanism, and then the fixed action pattern, the old stickleback had no choice. He's like, I have to attack this wooden model. I'm not thinking about this, right? This is unaffected by learning, and once it's started, it can't stop until that bit of wood is dead. And that shows, Tinbergen's research shows the power of these IRMs and FAPs. Okay, and that's basically the AO1 that you need to know. You need to be able to explain what IRMs are, what FAPs are. Tinbergen's research is a nice little bit of to talk about. And you can also add in the stuff from Lorenz about the power of ritualistic aggression and, crucially, why it stops death. In terms of AO3, all these points are expanded in detail in your text, but I'll just talk through them very briefly, and then you can make some decent notes. You can link all of this to what we learnt about last lesson and the MAOA variant gene. Bruner showed that this was closely linked to aggression, and that aggression was innate. Which again suggests we're like animals, basically. However, there are significant cultural differences in the amount of aggression. So, for example, murder rates in the southern states of America are much higher than in the northern states, and Nisbet suggested this was because of the culture in the south. Now, if there are cultural differences like this suggests that the behaviour is not universal and therefore is not innate. It's not about being a human. This is something about the way those humans have been socialized and raised. This is about social norms, not about the nature of humanity. Changnon, who the picture is there, who was a guy who studied, he was an anthropologist who studied lots and lots of different cultures, and this is him with the Yanomamo peoples of South America, and that's one of them there. They're having a chat. His first name is Napoleon. How awesome is that? Not the Yanomamo person, but Changnon. He studied these tribes in South America and said that they often used exactly the same ritualistic aggression that Lorenz talked about, often avoiding death battles by chest pounding and fighting with clubs, and using ritualistic aggression to avoid potentially fatal aggression. And the final point here, and I'm going to hand over to a video clip, don't feel that you have to watch it all the way to the end because it does involve some fairly gory end, but not all animal aggression is relatively harmless. This idea that animal aggression is ritualistic is a nice idea, but as plenty of research has shown, specifically Jane Goodall's research on chimpanzees, that actually chimpanzees show some pretty harmful aggression, and they're very, very similar to humans. They go to war, and when they go to war with the aim of causing specific aggressive harm and killing each other. And this isn't anything to do with fixed action patterns. They're out seeking out other chimps to kill. So I'm going to leave you with that clip for you to watch, and then I want you to make notes on all of this if you haven't paused it all the way through already and done that. And thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact me. Thank you.
These calls announced the start of a raid into land controlled by their neighbours. As they leave their core zone, the patrol goes silent, occasionally stopping to listen. Signs of the enemy are detected and examined closely. The chimp militia are now at the very edge of their territory. All need to be on maximum alert. They must wait and listen. An unfamiliar chimp call raises the tension. It's an uncertain time. The size of the rival group is as yet unknown. Not far away, their neighbors are feeding in a fig tree, oblivious to the approaching dangers. The patrol moves off with a sense of purpose. They must remain silent until they close in on their rivals. The attack is on. To intimidate their opponents, the aggressors scream and drum on buttress roots. Several males corner an enemy female. It's a ferocious attack, and she's lucky to escape with her life. Others are not so fortunate. The battle won, a grisly scene unfolds. An enemy youngster has been caught and killed. The carcass is shared between members of the group and eaten. Killing a competitor makes sense if you want to protect your food supply. But exactly why they cannibalize the dead chimp is not fully understood. It may simply be a chance for some extra protein.